Welcome to GST Suvidha Kendra. Today, Mr. Sandeep is going to teach you a new lesson. Those who do not know about GST Suvidha Kendra, please visit the website mentioned in the video or in the description. You can also open a GST Suvidha Kendra and earn between 50,000 to 1 lakh rupees per month. You can apply directly from our official website, or you can call or WhatsApp on the number mentioned below. Thank you.
Today we are going to understand what is GST reconciliation, how mismatch is identified, and what are the ways to correct those mismatch. What will happen if we do not reconcile? When GST returns do not match with each other, we say it is a case of mismatch. The process of identification and then rectification of those mismatch is known as reconciliation. Mismatch can occur in three ways: mismatch in GSTR 3B and GSTR 2A. Another one is mismatch in GSTR 1 and GSTR 3B, and the third one is mismatch in income tax return and GST return. When buyer and supplier enter into a B2B transaction, buyer pays GST to the supplier and claim it as input tax credit in GSTR 3B. Supplier has a duty to mention that invoice in GSTR 1. The invoices mentioned by supplier in GSTR 1 are reflected in GSTR 2A. Buyer can check GSTR 2A and GSTR 3B to identify the mismatch. Now, mismatch in GSTR 2A and 3B can occur due to some reason. First reason can be supplier has not mentioned that invoice in GSTR 1. If supplier do not mention that invoice in GSTR 1, it will not appear in GSTR 2A and the mismatch will occur because buyer has claimed input tax credit in GSTR 3B. So buyer has a duty to inform the supplier, and supplier can mention that invoice in next GSTR 1. Another reason could be supplier has mentioned incorrect invoice in GSTR 1. So buyer can inform supplier and supplier can amend that invoice in next GSTR 1. Third reason can be buyer has claimed excess input tax credit. It means supplier has mentioned correct invoice, but buyer has claimed more than what was declared by supplier. The fourth reason may be buyer has claimed less input tax credit. In order to take full benefit, buyer has a timeline to claim ITC. Buyer can claim ITC on or before the due date of September month return in next financial year. Now moving to the second way of mismatch, that is mismatch in GSTR 3B and GSTR 1. When sales mentioned by supplier in GSTR 3B and GSTR 1 does not match, the mismatch occurred. It can be due to the reason that supplier has mentioned either less sale in GSTR 3B. So supplier can mention that sale in next GSTR 3B and supplier has to pay interest at the rate 18% per annum. If supplier has mentioned less amount of sale in GSTR 1, then supplier can correct that sale in next GSTR 1. Third type of mismatch is mismatch in ITR and GST. The sales figure mentioned in income tax return and GST return should match with each other. If the supplier has mentioned less amount of sale in income tax return, then supplier can face show cause notice issued by income tax department. If supplier has mentioned less amount of sale in GST returns, then it can face again show cause notice from GST department. So in this video we covered the topics like meaning of reconciliation under GST, why reconciliation is necessary, what are the reasons behind the cause of mismatch, and what are the ways to correct that mismatch.
Thanks for watching this video. As we have already mentioned, you can open GST Suvidha Kendra and start earning from 50,000 to 1 lakh rupees. Please subscribe to our channel and like this video. You can directly apply from our website, or you can also call on the number given in the description.